Today, I'm featuring Grace Ling, a product designer who I met through the AIGA Portfolio Festival. Her site is a great example of how to make your case studies focused, yet fun. Hey creatives, welcome back for another 30-second scroll. I'm Jessica Gardner, language coach at Artglish, and I help artists and designers to describe their work more confidently so they can feel seen, connect with their audience, and succeed faster. Today's featured portfolio is product designer and Design Buddies founder, Grace Ling. You can find her site at grace-ling.com. I discovered her back in the summer of 2020 because we were both presenting at the AIGA Portfolio Festival, and I was so impressed by her story that I started following her right away. Like always, your portfolio has two jobs to do, and the first job is to get noticed, even if you only have a short amount of time to do it. So I'm going to set my timer for 30 seconds, and we're going to take a look at Grace's site to see what you notice, starting now. All right, what stood out for you? I'd love it if you leave a comment and share your thoughts. All of Grace's projects look interesting, but I was first drawn to this one because it seems like a really cool concept, designing a game. So how might we make learning more engaging by gamifying it? As a teacher, that's something that intrigues me. And this is an interesting project because it's a personal project, and I know sometimes people feel like, oh, how can I share this project? I just did it on my own and I didn't have like a client. And that's okay. I think Grace does a nice job of kind of showing the personal side of that and her own motivations to make a difference, or to do something that might positively impact others. So you get a little bit better sense of her values that way, which is cool. So she's got her objective, learning about biology through a game. Goals. As you can see, it's really easy to navigate. She's got great hierarchy and it makes it easy to find what you want quickly. She also shares a little bit about her inspiration. So like I said, it kind of gives you a little bit of insight into what's important to her. Also really important is she includes these kinds of why questions, because if your audience are other designers, they already know the design process. You don't have to go into great, huge detail telling them about the design process. But what they want to know are the whys. Why did you do what you did? What were your, what was the reasoning behind your choices? So including those whys is really key. She also has a nice storytelling approach. It's very personal. She uses conversational language. So it makes it easy for me to understand what this game is about, even though I was not a biology major. I understand the point of it, and it sounds fun. It sounds interesting. And she makes it easily accessible through sort of conversational, fun language. So it's engaging, and as I said, it feels like it's helping me to get to know Grace a little better. And then at the end, she's got this press to kind of show the positive response. So if you don't have some sort of tangible results to share, that's one way to show the impact of what you've created. I also want to look at this electronic arts project. And this is a good example of how you can take a big project and present it in a way that's manageable. Sometimes my clients ask about how to handle non-disclosure agreements. So here's a good example of one way you can do it. She basically just took out some of the elements that she thought might be problematic and presented the parts that she could. So here again, the goal is to improve the player's experience on their help site and enable them to find that help faster. So I think she does a nice job right away of kind of helping us to empathize with the users in this story. All of us know what it's like to try to get help on a website and not be able to do it. It's so frustrating. So it's a good way to kind of pull us in and make us care about the problem. I think it's also great that she really focuses on the takeaways. Again, telling those whys or what you learned or what you got out of the experience is what future employers are going to want to know. She's sharing a lot of detailed information here, and so I think using these callouts is a really nice way to make it scannable and easy to see the important points without having to read every little detail, because that's probably not going to happen. And then again, she's got a nice focus on results. So if you do have some data to show the outcome of, how the changes you made positively impacted the project, that's great. If you have that data, that's the best option. And if you don't, using testimonials or press like she did is another secondary option, or even just sharing what you learned in the process, but definitely showing the outcome in some way is an important part of the final process. And then she's got some before and after, next steps, and then lessons learned. That's always really important. Again, any future employer is really going to want to know what you learned from the process and what you took away. And then finally, of course, I have to talk about design buddies because it's just such an amazing accomplishment. Grace started this community back at the start of the pandemic, and it's just blown up. Over 30,000 people have joined, and it's really cool. So I think this is also a good example of how you can share kind of a non-traditional project. If there's something you want to share that maybe doesn't fit in with the typical design process, this is a good way of how you can share a slightly different but really important project of your own. So she's got these sort of graphic elements to make it easy to understand, the purpose, the approach. I think it's nice in this leadership section, she's talking about some of the mistakes she made, because that's interesting too, especially for a future employer. If you can share like, well, I tried this and it didn't work, so I tried something else, that's information they're going to want to know. I was pleasantly surprised to see myself on this site. We have worked together before. I did a presentation for Grace way back when, and that was a good experience, kind of a funny surprise. And then toward the end, again, she's talking about collaborations, their future plans, and then finishes with the lessons learned. So that's one of the most important things you can finish up with to let your future employer audience know what you're going to bring to the job you're applying for by the things that you've learned in the past. So the second job of your portfolio is to get your audience interested in connecting and wanting to follow you or take the relationship to the next level. And I think Grace's site definitely does that. If you are not already a member of Design Buddies, I would definitely invite you to check it out because it's super cool, a great opportunity to meet other people and have access to all the different events that they do. If you are watching in YouTube today, please like and subscribe. If you're watching from somewhere else, I'd love it if you leave a comment. I'd like to know what stood out for you, and I'm sure Grace would too. I am always looking for new portfolios to feature, so if you'd like to volunteer your own or you know of someone who has a really strong portfolio that you'd like to suggest, please email me at jessica@artglish.com. And if you'd like to receive my free writing tips on how to tell your portfolio story, you can join my mailing list at artglish.com. Thanks again, Grace Ling. You can find her site at grace-ling.com for more inspiration. All these links will be in the notes, and please come back next week for another 30-second scroll.